Hi, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of STEM Girls Virtual. My name is Becca, and I'm here on behalf of Cincinnati Museum Center, and we are going to talk about all the careers in the STEM fields in this series. Those careers are in science, technology, engineering, and math. And today we have a very special guest. Her name is Andrea Walker, and she is a construction sales engineer at a company called Eaton. And I do not know a ton about that career, so I'm very excited to learn about it. Hi, Andrea. How are you today?
Good. How are you, Becca?
Good. Like I said, very ready to learn. I'm sure our audience members are very curious as well. So without further ado, we're going to jump into some questions. Is that okay?
Sounds great.
Fantastic. So the first question is, please tell us a little bit more about what you do in your job. Can you tell us a little bit about like a typical day, stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the basis of my job is if you kind of think about your house and you have a circuit breaker in your house. Now, I'm operating kind of on a larger scale of that. So, we're dealing with stadiums, schools, the zoo. So, when you go to Paul Brown Stadium and you see the scoreboard and you see the lights and you see the concession stands, that power is all coming from a box not unlike the one in your house, just on a larger scale. So, I work with architects, engineers, and contractors locally, and we help to create that basically. So, working with them to make sure that we're giving them what they need, but also at the best cost savings and making sure that we look out for any areas that might be a gotcha.
Very interesting. So it sounds like you're doing a lot of stuff that is involving STEM, but you're also working with people a lot as well.
Absolutely. And that's one of the parts that I love most about my job is that you get to use engineering, but you also get to have that people aspect where you get to be personable, which is great.
That's a great combination. So our next question is, can you please tell us what sparked your interest in this field? Was this a field that you always saw yourself working in? Is it something that you found yourself working in? Just tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say I definitely found myself working in this field. I had an interest in science growing up. My dad was a chemist, and I would do the take your daughter to work day. And I got to be able to see what the real world job was like, having the lab and emails and meetings and everything tied together, which was a really cool experience for me to be able to have that inside glimpse into a STEM field at a young age, which I'm really thankful for. We didn't have programs like STEM, which I wish we would have. It would have been a great opportunity to see different careers out there. So yeah, I kind of fell into it. I did some internships in colleges, and that kind of drove my field to where I am today.
Very interesting. And I, not unlike you, had a dad in a STEM field, have a dad in a STEM field. Hi, Dad. And he pushed me to experience STEM things, and I greatly appreciate that. And we encourage any parent pursuing an interest in STEM with their kid, helping their kid who has an interest in STEM to pursue those interests. You don't have to be in a STEM field to help your child pursue those fields, to learn about those fields. Any parent can do it at any time. And there are so many new, interesting ways to experience STEM, which is so cool to see. I would have loved all the opportunities and camps and stuff growing up that are here now. Those would have been my jam growing up. So take advantage of those things and help your kid grow into the STEM world and see if it's right for them. We encourage that.
Absolutely.
Our next question is, what is one of the coolest experiences that you have had as part of your career? I'm sure there are a lot of cool or interesting things that you have done, so tell us about one of them.
Yeah, there have been a lot of really neat experiences. I get to see buildings before they're made and the blueprints, which is pretty interesting. I would say the coolest though would be when I was in college. I had an internship with Rockwell Automation. I was in Nashville, Tennessee at a Nissan factory. And after the plant tour, the site contact that I was meeting with asked if we wanted to go for a ride in a car right off the test track. So we actually got to take it off the line and go on to the test track and do the turns and test the axles and all that stuff. And that was a really unique experience that I don't think I'll ever forget.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It absolutely was.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Our next question is, what is a challenge that you faced on your journey and how did you overcome it? Everyone's going to face challenges in life, whether it's in school, in work, in this current crazy situation that we are in right now. We all face challenges, but sometimes the best way to learn how to overcome those challenges is to learn how somebody else overcame one of their challenges. So we would love to learn from you.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say one of the challenges that stuck out for me, I was pretty new into my career, and an opportunity came up for me to take a position that was in a small town and move from the town where I had friends and it was a bigger city and I was kind of established there. So taking the jump to go there, not knowing anybody and starting a new job was a big risk for me. It ended up paying out great, and I suggest anyone to go outside their comfort zone. I ended up getting more doors opened for me later because I took that risk and made a positive experience out of it and growing accounts down there and making connections. And it was a great opportunity.
Taking risks and taking that jump into something that you're not sure about, it can be very rewarding. That's fantastic advice. And thank you for sharing that with us. That is something that we hope everyone will take away from experiences in their life and interviews like this. Sometimes you gotta take a leap and just go for it. Going for it is what helps you get to where you need to go. Our next question is, what is some advice you'd like to give to any young person wanting to pursue a career in the STEM field? Of course, you just mentioned going for it and taking that leap. Is there any other advice you'd like to give?
Yeah, I would say that there are so many careers out there in the STEM field. So ask questions, put yourself out there, and find a job that's right for you. But not only a job, but a company and a team. You want a team that's going to challenge you, that's going to support you, that's going to be a place where you can grow. Especially the young viewers watching, you have a whole life ahead of you, and you're going to spend so much of your time at work. You really want to have a team where you connect and you can have fun outside of work. We'll go bowling and stuff like that. And that's a really fun experience to have where you can have not only just your work people, but they can become your friends. And that's a great thing to have happen.
That is great advice, and teamwork really does make the dream work. I know that I wouldn't be able to do any of the stuff that I do without my amazing team at Cincinnati Museum Center. The whole museum wouldn't be able to do what we do without having an awesome teamwork atmosphere. Finding that team is so important, uh, and it will really help you do anything you want to do because those are the people that are going to support you and push you and just make you laugh when you need a good laugh. So,
Absolutely.
um, shout out to my team. Uh, so, yeah, that's a fantastic advice. I really like that advice. Thank you. So, we do have two audience questions. Do you have some time to answer those?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So the first question is about math. Um, the question is, do you find that you often use a lot of math? And if you do, what kind of math are you using? We know that you're doing sort of like a mixture of, working with the electrical and the engineering side and stuff like that, and also those interpersonal skills and working with the public and the people. So how often do you find yourself drawing on your math skills?
I would say that I do not use the skills that I learned in college, but I'm so thankful that I did. Having the calculus background makes me more credible and more relatable to the engineers that I'm working with daily. I'm on a daily basis just using basic math of doing multipliers for pricing or sometimes using angles for figuring out how something needs to be fit into a place. But I would say use as much math as you can. I mean, it's such a superpower that not a lot of people have the math experience and learn it and get good at it so that you can be more relatable and more credible in your life.
That's great advice, and that's very interesting that you don't use it all the time and use a ton of it, but you do draw upon it to work with the team that you work with. And it helps you be a team player, helps you, work with the products that you're working with, work with the public, work with the public going to the developers. It sounds like that's really helped you sort of build your platform for what you do. So that's very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question is we are wondering if there's any problem solving techniques that you use on a day to day basis. Having good problem solving techniques is so great, and those techniques vary from position to position, from job to job, from person to person. So we just wanted to know, are there any problem solving techniques that you find yourself using often?
I would say the most common problem solving is just knowing how to deal with people. I took a psychology class while I was at college, and I probably draw upon that more than my higher level engineering classes. Knowing how to understand that different people come from different places and they've had different experiences, and being able to take a step back if you're having a heated conversation and realize that it's not personal, and you need to kind of understand that not everyone has had the same experiences. So being able to deal with people and swallowing your pride sometimes, I think, is super helpful.
I think that's great advice. Being able to talk to people is such an important skill, whether it's public speaking or speaking on the phone or anything like that. And that's something that our younger audience can start practicing now. And I encourage it. Start practicing talking to your peers, speaking in public, talking on the phone, even if it's just ordering a pizza. Sometimes that makes people a little nervous and uncomfortable, which is totally understandable. But having those interpersonal skills and having those understanding skills are so important. So we strongly encourage anyone to give them a go. Try to develop those while you're home and trying to learn new things. That's a new skill you can learn right there. So that's fantastic advice. Thank you. So that's all we have today. Thank you so much, Andrea, for talking to us and teaching us about this career. I personally did not know this was a field. So I learned something new. I hope everyone else at home did. So thank you so much for tuning in and talking with us.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for doing this. I think this is a really great thing for young girls out there.
Thank you very, very much. And thank all of you for tuning in, checking out the Seven Girls virtual videos, checking out all the other videos that Cincinnati Museum Center has to offer, like our dance parties and story tree times and our vintage beauty tutorials, all kinds of stuff. I'm pretty sure there's some cooking on there too. So keep tuning in, keep checking out what we have, and keep learning Cincinnati. Bye, everyone.